What terrors are unleashed when a girl turns sweet 16? Yes, Sweet 16. This came out in 1983. This was directed by Jim Sotos. And this one is about a promiscuous girl and her family moving into a town where her mother grew up, and every boy she bumps into gets killed. And this was my second time watching this movie. The first time I watched it was back in March 2020 for my 1983 top 10, and it did not make my top 10, but it was in my participation trophy section, meaning that I thought it was decent enough to recommend giving it a watch. It was a 2.5 out of 5 for me, and on rewatch, it has gone down. I did not like this movie this time. But what I do like about this movie is the cast of adult actors, all of them, and even the one teenager in the movie, played by Dana Kimmell. They're all from horror movies that I love. And, you got Bo Hopkins. He was in Mutant. You got Patrick McNee, The Howling, and all kinds of stuff. Waxworks. You got Dana Kimmell, Friday the 13th, Part 3. You got Don Shanks from Halloween 5. So there's a lot of familiar faces in the movie. And the adult actors in this movie give the best performances. And, the acting from them is solid. It's not great or anything, but it's not terrible like the younger actors in this movie. And I really enjoyed the side character, Kathy, played by Sharon Farrell. She kind of reminded me of that one random character in Halloween 3 that they keep cutting back to. She's always on the phone with Tom Atkins. It reminded me of that because in this movie, Bo Hopkins, he's always on the phone with this girl who's clearly into him, and she just keeps proposing to him, and she's just very fun and quirky, and I liked her character. She was the most interesting, likable character in the movie to me. I wish there was more of her in this movie. And I love that cheesy ass Melissa song in the movie. It's like so cheesy on accident. I don't think they were trying to be so cheesy, but it is. It competes with Madman, that hot tub scene, for cheesiest song in a movie ever. It's called Melissa, and her name's Melissa. So it's like the song was written for the movie. And I did kind of like the main family with Bo Hopkins and Dana Kimmell. Like, they just felt like a real family. I liked their chemistry, and I liked how she was like a little Sherlock Holmes she was like a little detective. She liked reading murder mysteries, was always trying to help out her dad on the case, and he had to keep telling her to go back to school and be a kid. And like, I liked that stuff between them. But I feel like that didn't really go anywhere in the end because she doesn't solve the mystery, her dad does. And they set up her character from the beginning. It opens up with a dream, and she wakes up and she has the murder mystery book on her, suggesting that these books that she loves are giving her nightmares. And, throughout the whole movie, she's constantly playing detective. I thought it was going to be her who solved the case, but by the end of the movie, she's wrong about everything. The person who ends up being the killer, she never suspected. So getting into my negatives, real quick, this transfer from Code Red sucks. It is absolutely awful. Like, half the movie looks like it's VHS quality. It's pretty poor. And I already just brought it up. It opens up with a dream sequence, and that would be fine if it was necessary, but I don't think this is. All it tells me is that these murder mystery books that she's reading are giving her nightmares, but what does that have to do with the murder mystery throughout the rest of the movie? I never suspected her to be the killer. Was that supposed to be like a red herring? And who was that she saw in that dream? When she has that dream in the open, it was just like some guy ghost. Who is that? Is it just someone from her book? Like, opening up the movie with a dream sequence like that was just not a good way to start, because it just starts on a sour note when I'm like, all right, this movie's already losing points because it's starting with a damn fake out dream sequence, and I don't like that shit. And I thought all the kills in this movie were just generic Scream-like stabs. It's just like the Scream franchise where it's just stab, stab. And they're all shot the same way, and they're not shot good. It's just a bunch of frantic close-ups and cuts and stuff, and it just doesn't look good. There's like no real effects work in the movie at all, and the kills are just so lame. And the acting from the kids in the movie, kids played by like 25-year-olds, was pretty bad. Like, not dog shit, but it was just weak in a lot of moments. And I think it just has to do with the dialogue, because the dialogue in this movie is also pretty weak as well and dull. And I thought the first like 20, 30 minutes was kind of slow, and the score is just basic and not memorable and very silent in a lot of moments. Like, there's a lot of dead air. It's also just poorly directed and uses a lot of slow-mo in scenes where it's just not really called for. And on first watch, the killer, who it is, I thought that was really freaking obvious the first time. I'm not sure how you'll feel, but to me, after the second kill, it was very obvious to me on first watch. So final thoughts, this is just, unfortunately, a forgetful slasher movie, a cheesy, bad murder mystery, but not in a fun way. It's not so bad it's good. It's just kind of bad, and it has kind of a made-for-TV feel to it. It just is kind of cheap, and the kills, like I said, sucked. The mystery wasn't that good. The characters are fine, but there's just not a whole lot going on that's interesting or entertaining. So when it comes to Sweet 16, I did not like it. I'm going to give this one 2 stars out of 5. Spoilers! Alright, so we open up with that gothic horror dream sequence. She's like in a castle setting, and there's lightning, and this is the most atmospheric that the movie really gets. Melissa, or promiscuous girl turning 16, she is naughty. She is constantly going up to guys, flirting with them. She's very forward. She goes up to Don Shanks and is basically just like, let's go fuck. And he turns her down. And then, of course, what does she do? She accuses him basically of rape, like trying to kiss her, like, oh, he was trying to grab me. And she's smoking dope and cigarettes and drinking. At 15, this is one bad girl. At 15, I was not doing all this kind of crazy shit. And so, yeah, this guy drops her off at her house, and then his car breaks down on the way home, and he gets stabbed in the desert by a mysterious figure. Who is it? I guess, it's the mom. Spoiler, this is the spoiler section. So we find out that the main girl's mom is the killer, and I guess he followed him out there, and when his truck broke down, she just pulled over and followed him out there and stabbed him in the back. But what's funny is I was so convinced from my bad memory, I thought that it was Melissa that was the killer. My memory was that she was the killer, so when I went into this the second time, I was just thinking it was her the whole time. So I was like, well, what did she do? Like, she just got dropped off, so what did she do? Just run out there hoping his car would break down? And how does she get out there? She doesn't have a license, she can't drive. So, but then it made more sense at the end when it wasn't her. But I just thought that was funny, that this whole movie I was like, it's Melissa. That's what, because the first time, when I watched it, it was her. But no, it wasn't. So I don't know how I got that mixed up in my head. My memory is not usually that bad, but I could have swore it was Melissa the whole time. But no, it was her mom. So the killer was obvious the first time, and I predicted it. But on the second watch, I couldn't predict the killer because of my bad memory. Like, I even have a note written down after the second guy gets killed. Melissa goes out there and she's like, Tommy, Tommy? I was like, oh, so she's like pretending like she didn't just stab him? So I wrote down, like, is she like blacking out? Is she unaware that she just murdered him? Is she trying to like put on a show in case somebody's watching and listening to her? Like, she's trying to play innocent? Like, I wrote that shit down thinking that she was the killer the whole time. Man. So Dana Kimmell, she finds the dead body of what's-his-face. Clearly a bunch of stab wounds, right? And then she goes, so was it a bear? Obviously not. I thought that was a really dumb question. And there's like cheesy, like slow-mo zooming in on her face when she sees the dead body. That ages the movie poorly. And so then she's at school like the next day. The only people who know about the guy who got stabbed is her brother, and the other girl, Melissa, she's just now finding out about it because the cops there talking to her and her parents. And Dana Kimmell goes off and she's talking to a group of other girls, and she's saying about, how the body was stabbed 20 times. And then this other girl's like, well, I heard it was 15. I'm thinking that she's just full of shit and she's just trying to add to the conversation because there's no fucking way she would know anything about this murder. It just happened. She just found out that morning. The only people who know are the people I just said. So where does she get her information from? So then we get our first instance of the Melissa song being played, and she goes up to this boy Tommy and asks him out. And then I guess her mom somehow found out about all the details of when and where they were going to meet, and she goes there and kills him before she can go on that date. And then Melissa, when she finds the body and screams and she sees the Native American gray feather guy there, she blames him, like, I know who did it. It was Gray Feather. Like, she must hate Native Americans because that's the second time she's accusing the Native American of committing some kind of crime. She blamed Don Shanks for, like, raping her, and now she's blaming this poor guy for murder. And it gets him killed. We get like mob justice. They go out and they hang this poor bastard in his own house. And I love that Dana Kimmell's character like puts her down and like gives her the cold hard truth. Like, listen, you're just an attention seeking bitch who's constantly spreading lies. But what's funny is after she gives her this truth, tells it like it is, she's like immediately like apologizing and like trying to befriend her. And then, like, she says all this shit. She calls her a bitch right to her face. And this is the first interaction they're having because Melissa is new to town. And so this is their first time talking that we see as the audience. And then after she calls her a bitch and whatnot, and then is like trying to befriend her, like not even 10 seconds later, she's in the car driving down the road with her dad and her brother. And she says, I wrote down, she's a really nice person. And then she goes, and we got along today. We really got along today. That's not the scene I watched. Yeah, you kind of were trying to befriend her at the end, but you called her a bitch. You said she was attention seeking, basically calling her everything. And then she says that shit later on, like, oh yeah, she's a really nice person, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, that's not what I saw at all. So then it's revealed that, like, Don Shanks, he stole these old ancient knives out of the dig site, but did he? Because now, in retrospect, thinking back, I'm thinking maybe the mom planted those knives there to frame him. So I guess his whole family has it out for Native Americans. They're constantly trying to get them blamed and accused for everything. But yeah, like, if he did steal the knives, why did he do that? I guess maybe they're valuable. But yeah, so then, like, this whole movie, it keeps trying to point the finger at Don Shanks, and they, like, waste so much time with Bo Hopkins going, so far away out of town to this place to like research Don Shanks, and he finds out that his mom was killed in a drunk driving accident by some white guy who got a very short sentence by a white judge, and he's mad at the white man, and maybe that's why he's killing everybody. He's mad at the white man, and blah, blah, blah. And then they arrest him, I guess, because he stole the knives. And then he breaks out of jail, beats the shit out of the cop, locks him up, and then by the end of the movie, he's never in trouble for it. It's like, even if you didn't steal those knives and you're innocent, you are now a criminal because you broke out of jail, A, but B, you assaulted an officer, and by the end of the movie, it's no big deal. Like, he should have been arrested again. So then we find out that Joan, the mom, is not really Joan. I think her name's like Patricia. So her sister killed herself at a asylum, and she was there because of childhood abuse from her evil dad, who used to beat them both up, I guess. And now she's been pretending that she is her sister Joan for the last 20-some years to fill the void. Like, she has a split personality now. She wants to keep thinking that her sister's around. Something like that. I don't know. Like, she can't handle the fact that she's dead, so she wants to live her life for her, like pretend she's her. So she's got like a split personality. And by the end, when she's revealed, she's acting so fucking crazy that it's unbelievable that she could act so normal throughout the whole first 2/3 of the movie. Like, someone who's acting that crazy could never be that sane in the other sections of the movie. They would just be crazy nonstop. And when she's dead, when the killer she kills herself, just like her sister. The husband, no big deal. Like, he's not broken up about it. He's just like, well, bummer, dude. Like, that's his attitude. Like, oh, well, I guess I should have seen this coming. Like, what the hell? So in the middle of Melissa's Sweet 16, where the whole town's basically invited, because I don't know who would invite these racist fucking assholes at the bar. No one's friends with them. I don't know. Why are they there? It seems like they invited everybody. So in the middle of her own Sweet 16, she decides to take Dana Kimmell's brother out to the nearby lake to go skinny dip. Like, aren't people gonna wonder where the main birthday girl is? Like, you're just gonna go skinny dip? And then the two racists, they just start attacking her, and they're like about to like rape her. Like, one of them assaults her and punches her in the face. Like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, oh, let's rape the birthday girl in her own backyard during her Sweet 16. But luckily, the mom steps in and kills both of those sorry jackasses. But it's lame. It's the same way she kills everybody. Just close-ups of the hand, stabbing their backs and shit. It's lame. Very, very lame. That's the only word I can think of to describe it. It's very fucking lame. These kills should have been way better. Also, Don Shanks, he shows up. You think he's going to get, like, revenge because he knows that these two racists killed his dad, brother, uncle, whoever he is, Greyfeather. You think he's going to get revenge, but no, he just quickly gets his ass handed to him by these two little drunks. Like, really? Don Shanks? He's a big motherfucker. He's like 6'3", 4". He looks like he's been working out, and these two guys, they look like they would get their asses kicked by him easily, but somehow they get the upper hand, and they just lay him down flat. That was a letdown. I wanted to see Don Shanks beat them down. So the mom, the killer, is about to stab Dana Kimmell. Not sure why. She's not a threat. How could, like, the whole reason why she's killing these guys is because she sees them as, like, her abusive father. So she's trying to, like, prevent, these guys from being able to do the same abuse to her daughter as her dad did to her. Why kill Dana Kimmell? She's trying to kill her. It doesn't match her MO. But she's about to kill Dana Kimmell, but the dad comes in and strangely tackles his daughter instead of tackling the woman with the knife. It's not like he came from behind and Dana was the closest one for him to grab. He came from the side. It would have been easier and it would have been more smart to try to grab the knife from her and tackle the killer, not tackle your daughter. And then, like, after he tackles her, he, like, starts, like, petting her hair and shit. It's like, there's a killer right behind you with a knife. She could stab you at any moment. But it's just a weird moment. So weirdly directed and written. It's like, what the fuck? He should have got the knife from the killer right away and attacked her, not his own daughter. So then the movie just ends with Melissa in shock, walking away from her party, going inside the house, and it's revealed that she is holding one of the knives that her mom had, and she's hearing her mom's final words that she said before she killed herself. So now she's going to be crazy. So, sequel. We never got one. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about this movie. Big letdown. I did not like it nowhere near as much as I did the first time. Although I didn't like it that much the first time. I thought it was fine. It was average, but it's below average. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Sweet 16? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And remember, it's just an opinion. You don't need to get butthurt about it.